Hey everyone, Arkham here, and welcome back to another episode of The Fog Illustrated. Before we get started with this next episode, featuring the Euclid, as I've dubbed him, I would like to personally thank all of you for giving me such nice support on the last episode, and just wanted to follow up with a disclaimer warning for this one. This story does feature references to blood and appearances of blood through the drawings and illustrations covered. So yeah, disclaimer warning for all that if you don't want to get into it, but if you're willing to stick around with it, then please do enjoy this next episode, and again, thank you very much. Description: SCP-049 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-049 appears to be wearing the thick robes and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-049's body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-049 does have a humanoid skeleton structure beneath its outer layer. SCP-049 is capable of speech in a variety of languages, though tends to prefer English or medieval French. While SCP-049 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated or at times outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence is currently unknown to Foundation researchers, it does seem to be an issue of immense concern to SCP-049. The light of the bloodstained monitor shone onto the doctor's bone-white mask. He read through the document that the Foundation workers had written about him, describing a false tale of his life's goals. How could these people, these so-called men and women of science, spew these lies and falsehoods about his intentions? The truth of the evil that plagued their minds was right in front of them, the pestilence, as the doctor referred to it. But the workers didn't understand. So they threw the doctor into containment out of fear of finding out the truth. But the good doctor was finally freed from his containment, and now he was going to make sure that those who put him in there would pay. He didn't know how or why, but mere hours ago, power to the entire facility that kept the doctor contained had completely shut down. Backup generators didn't seem to work, and nearly every single horror and entity that the Foundation worked hard to contain had managed to escape. The doctor strolled through the blood-soaked hallways of the facility, passing through offices, smashed-in doors, and corpses of MTF officers that tried to fight back the escaping monsters. As he stepped over the bodies, he wondered just how this was even possible. As far as he knew, there hadn't been a containment breach at this level without any warning. He pondered what could have caused it, what anomaly that the Foundation had failed to keep their tight grasp on. The director turned his attention away from the monitor, now facing a man, strapped down to a gurney used for patients on the medical ward of the facility. The man struggled and screamed through a cloth gag in his mouth, begging for someone to help him. The two of them were alone in a ruined room of the facility. The doctor wanted to exact his operation before he left the building to cure the rest of the world of the pestilence. He stood over the man laid down, examining him and taking mental notes of where to place his incisions. The doctor spoke up.
And here, I thought you were like-minded, Dr. Idkin, which is why it saddens me to have to do this.
A tray of different medical tools was presented to him. He hovered his fingers across the different tools and picked out a syringe filled with liquid, pushing in the nozzle and letting it drip down the needle.
Your Foundation has failed you, it seems. Everyone else has left in pursuit of the others you believe that you could contain. No one wandering the halls anymore to hear your screams. And trust me when I say, you will scream. But do try to be still. It will make things much easier for you.
The doctor turned around to fetch his favorite scalpel, the one he had used for back when the Foundation was in agreement with him to bring him test subjects to perfect his cure. But as he held up and examined the small intricate blade, he noticed through the reflection that the man he had strapped down to the operating table was gone. He thought he was seeing things, so he turned back to confirm. But in reality, the man was really gone from the table. The remnant of a thick fog was descending back into the shadows away from the operating lights, and the doctor was furious. He uttered a French obscenity under his breath in frustration. How was it possible for him to have escaped? He double-checked the restraints himself just before the operation. He clutched the scalpel in his hand and stormed out of the room in search of the escaped researcher. He couldn't allow that sick individual to escape the facility and spread the pestilence further. It was his sole duty and responsibility to rid this world of him, and he would not fail in his mission. Through the halls of the abandoned facility, he hummed an ominous tune as he searched the rooms. He tapped the handle of the scalpel with his finger as he turned corner after corner for the man. Nothing. His worries started to grow, and a sinking feeling of failure started to creep in over his shoulders. It felt as if it was getting closer and closer with more steps he took, reaching what he thought was the peak of that horrible feeling as he reached one of the empty rooms and then stopped in his place. Through one of the doorways of the containment chambers, a wall of thick black fog greeted the doctor. He tilted his head in curiosity as to where it could be coming from, what was on the other side. His curiosity began to peak as he reached out to touch the fog, only to start hearing the whimpering cries of the researcher he was in pursuit through the other side. A wave of relief took over the doctor, as he finally had the man right where he wanted him. So, without hesitation, he stepped into the fog in order to finally catch the diseased researcher. When the doctor finally stepped out of the fog, he found himself in the middle of a forest, which he hadn't seemed to take any mind to. His main concern was to find his escaped patient and finally cure him. But as he looked around this new place, he started to become burdened with another overwhelming feeling. The same one that had driven his years of research into ridding this disease, only it was stronger here than he had ever felt before. Pestilence was here, in whatever realm it was. It had taken over and infected whoever was here. The reevaluation on this nearly drove the doctor crazed. But as he collected his thoughts and tried to keep his professionalism as best as he could, through the darkness of the forest he saw a flickering light. He walked over to observe whatever it was coming from, only to see a group of 4 people that he had never seen in his life. But that didn't matter. All the doctor could think of was how sick these people were, and how he was there to rid them of their disease. So with scalpel in hand, he pursued the people, with the intent of delivering onto them the only solution to their ailment. And after he was done with them, he would go on to cure anyone else in this realm that he now found himself trapped in. This wasn't another containment for him. No, this was his newfound purpose.